The House will come to order. Messages from the Senate.
Message from the Senate. Mr. Speaker, I hereby announce the passage by the Senate of the following House file herewith returned as amended by the Senate, in which amendments to concurrence of the House is respectfully requested. House file number 3157, an act relating to public safety, and the message is signed Cal R. Ludeman, Secretary of the Senate. Green moves that the House concur in the Senate amendments to House file number 3157 and that the bill be repassed as amended by the Senate.
I recognize the bill author, the member from Mahnomen, Representative Green, to explain the Senate amendments.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The amendments from the Senate are very simple. Basically, we took out a short phrase that would also have included service animals in training. We didn't think that was very good to have in the bill. And then they added some protections for business owners, some liability protections that I agree with, I think are very good. The bill is simple, and appreciate a green vote. Thank you.
Representative Green, if you could just remind the members what the bill does.
House File 3157 is referred to as a service dog bill. It makes it petty misdemeanor for the first offense and a misdemeanor for the second offense for misrepresenting a service animal. It was brought to me by some people who had service animal that were actually harmed and had to be put down by other animals that were being portrayed as a service animal. And it's a serious problem, more so than I first thought about a year ago when this came up. And we have a lot of support on this. So again, I appreciate green vote, and I will stand for questions if you have any.
Discussion on the Senate amendments. The member from Hennepin, Representative Hillstrom.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. Members, this is substantially similar to what passed the House floor, and it passed off the floor unanimously, both here in the House and the Senate. And I would encourage members to concur.
Any further discussion on the Senate amendments? The member from Carleton, Representative Sundin.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and to the author of the bill. Under the provisions for penalties on this, I just had an idea coming to me this morning on this. I see people with their pets hanging in their laps and hanging their heads out the windows as they go down the road. There's a public hazard. People are really attached to these pets and they can't leave without them. And I think that's what's going on behind this misuse of the animals. And I was just wondering, under penalties, is it within the purview of a judge or a court to actually confiscate that animal and impound it? And, you know, we take driver's license away, we take other property away under property crimes, that type of thing. I'm just wondering, is a judge enabled to actually confiscate that animal?
He will yield. Representative Green.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Representative, to the best of my knowledge, no, that is not what this bill deals with. This bill deals with the misrepresentation, bringing the animals into a public place and misrepresenting them as a service animal, and trying to avoid damages done, liability issues with other people. And the penalties that are here are twofold. The first offense is a petty misdemeanor, which is kind of a slap on the wrist. And our hope is that we won't have to go much further than that. But if they do misrepresent again, then it becomes a misdemeanor and becomes more serious. And the bill does not specify what the penalty would be, but whatever penalties would come with a misdemeanor, I think the judge would deal with.
Representative Sundin.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just, not to make a bad pun, but you know, this is a dog bill with no teeth in it.
I missed it. Any further discussion on the Senate amendments? There being no further discussion, all those in favor of the motion to concur with the Senate amendments say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The motion prevails. The clerk will give the bill its third reading as amended by Senate.
Third reading, House File number 3157, as amended by the Senate.
Third reading as amended by Senate. Any further discussion on repassage of the bill? Seeing no further discussion, the clerk will take the roll on the bill. The clerk will close the roll. There being 125 ayes and 1 nay, the bill is repassed as amended by Senate and its title agreed to. Calendar for the day. The first bill on the calendar for the day is House File 2743. The clerk will report the bill.
House File number 2743, an act relating to civil actions, number 1 on the calendar for the day, the first engrossment.
Recognize the member from Hennepin, Representative Smith, to introduce your bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, members. This bill is from the State Bar Association. There is no controversy. There is no opposition. It is intended to clarify the law regarding when the statute of limitations begins from when there is damage to property during construction. Mr. Speaker, I do have an amendment that I'd like to offer.
There is an amendment at the desk. The clerk will report the amendment.
Smith moves to amend House File number 2743, the first engrossment as follows, and the amendment is coded A2.
Recognize the member from Hennepin, Representative Smith, to introduce your amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, members. This amendment are a couple of technical changes to match the language that the lower body down the hall put into the bill. I ask for your support.
Discussion on the A2 amendment. Any discussion on the A2 amendment? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor of adoption of the A2 amendment signify by saying aye. Those opposed, no. The motion prevails and the amendment is adopted. There are no further amendments at the desk. The clerk will give the bill its third reading.
Third reading, House File number 2743, as amended.
Third reading. Discussion on House File 2743 as amended for final passage. The member from Hennepin, Representative Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, members. Under current law, recently the Minnesota Supreme Court held that a 2-year statute of limitations for property damage and construction runs from the date the damage is discovered. If the damage is discovered relatively early in a longer project, parties are forced to initiate legal action simply to protect their rights, even if the party expects, and even if there is mutual agreement, that the damage will be repaired before said substantial completion. This bill delays the statute of limitations from starting until substantial completion, abandonment, or termination of said project. This will allow parties to avoid unnecessary litigation when they all agree that the problem exists and will be fixed before the project is completed. This bill does not prevent lawsuits from substantial completion. It simply allows parties to remedy problems without litigation. This bill does not create a new cause of action. It simply defines when the statute of limitations begins to run. Furthermore, this bill does not affect the statute of limitations for bodily injury or wrongful death suits. This bill will reduce unnecessary litigation without eliminating anyone's right to recovery. Again, there is no opposition. This is a bipartisan bill, and I appreciate your support. Thank you.
Discussion on House File 2743 as amended. Seeing no further discussion, the clerk will take the roll on the bill. The clerk will close the roll. There being 126 ayes and 0 nays, the bill is passed as amended and its title agreed to. The next bill on the calendar for the day is House File 3225. The clerk will report the bill.
House File number 3225, number 2 on the calendar for the day, an act relating to commerce.
Recognize the bill author, the member from Washington, Representative Fenton, to introduce your bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And House File 3225 authorizes cash payments for used cell phone or small wireless devices such as iPods, iPads, for dealers using an automated kiosk that only buys the wireless communication devices. And Mr. Speaker, I do have an amendment. I'd like to move the amendment and discuss the bill further.
There is an amendment at the desk. The clerk will report the amendment.
Fenton moves to amend House File number 3225 as follows, and the amendment is coded A18-0830.
Recognize the member from Washington, Representative Fenton, to introduce your amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. What this amendment does is permits law enforcement to require closure of a kiosk if it's unable to comply with the requirements in state statute. And it requires that these kiosks are to be located within the physical store of a retail partner. I think this will greatly improve minor improvements to the bill. I urge a yes vote. Thank you.
Discussion on the A18 amendment. The member from Dakota, Representative Halverson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It sounds like this is some fairly substantial change to the bill. We don't all have the amendment yet, so if we can hold on a minute.
Certainly. I believe everyone should have the amendment. It was also posted online yesterday, I believe, and I'm certain that you will have your memories refreshed because you probably discussed it in caucus just a few minutes ago. So I believe we're ready to start debate on the amendment. The amendment is coded A18-0830. Discussion on that amendment. The member from Hennepin, Representative Hillstrom.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would Representative Fenton yield to a question?
She will yield. Representative Hillstrom.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Representative Fenton, you're deleting lines 14 through 22, and then you're adding these new sections. Basically, is what you're removing from the section the requirement for a fingerprint, or what specifically is your intent in the change of this language?
The member from Washington, Representative Fenton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and Representative Hillstrom. One thing is, I'm matching this up with the companion, but the biometrics are not required in Minnesota state law. The rest of the language is included within the statute, but the biometrics is not state law under this section.
Representative Hillstrom.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So there was a biometrics requirement in the bill as it was presented previously. So you're eliminating any requirement with this amendment that there be a biometric requirement.
She will yield. Representative Fenton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and Representative Hillstrom, yes.
Representative Hillstrom.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. Members, this has been one of the bills that I've been asking questions about in committee. This basically becomes an ATM for getting cash out when you put a phone in. And the way the system works is I take my phone and I put it in this machine and they run it to see if there's a flag on the phone. And if there's a flag on the phone, the transaction is stopped and they return it to the person who put it in. So that means that a person who presents a stolen phone is returned the phone. Now, if you go forward with the transaction, up until this point, the bill has required that there be a fingerprint as part of that sale, a verification with a driver's license, a verification with other information. They take a photo or a video, and there was a fingerprint requirement, and this amendment removes that requirement. A number of states have that requirement, but not all states do. So members, I would encourage you to leave the fingerprint requirement in the bill.
The member from Washington, Representative Fenton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. Actually, there is a cross-reference to the underlying law. So this matches the holding period for pawn and secondhand dealers in Minnesota state statute under 325.J05 records retention. Where the pledger or seller shall sign a pawn ticket and receive an exact copy of the pawn ticket. The pawnbroker shall maintain on the premises a record of all transactions of pledged or purchased goods for a period of 3 years. These records shall be correct copy of the entries made of the pawn transactions. A pawnbroker shall, upon request, provide to the appropriate law enforcement agency and complete an accurate record of pawn transaction. And if the pawnbroker provides the records in a computerized format, they must be provided in the interchange file specification format. So there are only 4 states that do require the thumbprint, and it's my understanding that 2 of those states are looking to get rid of it. So this does match up with current state statute. Thank you.
Further discussion on the amendment, on the A18 amendment. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of adoption of the A18 amendment signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The motion prevails and the amendment is adopted. There are no further amendments at the desk. The clerk will give the bill its third reading.
Third reading, House File Number 3225, as amended.
Third reading. Discussion on House File 3225 as amended for final passage. The member from Washington, Representative Fenton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And as I mentioned earlier, wireless communication device dealers are required to pay for used cell phones, iPods, iPads, and other wireless communication devices by mailed check or electronic transfer. And what this bill does is allow for automated kiosks to re-enter the market for cash payments. So I'm going to just, these automated kiosks were previously in the Minnesota market, but because of kill switch legislation, they were forced out of the market. And what this bill does is allowing automated kiosks to re-enter. One of the largest companies in the automated kiosk business, Eco ATM, they were one of the companies here in Minnesota previously. And this is already operating in 47 states, and again, previously here in Minnesota as well. So what the automated kiosks do is look for that feature, and they won't process a transaction for a cell phone if it can't be unlocked. And these were features that became in our cell phone manufacturing because of the kill switch legislation. So this legislation complements and allows technology to work with others to encourage recycling of old and broken devices while protecting consumers and providing law enforcement with the information that it needs. Why is this so important? What's unique about this automated kiosk company is that this is a recycling program held to high standards to responsibly recycle old cell phones. There are approximately 400 million used cell phones sitting in drawers across this country. I myself found several in spring cleaning. There are 4 cell phones is equal to 1 pound of electronic waste. And so these automated kiosks in Eco ATM, who was here previously, will partner with retailers in Minnesota, providing a safe place for transactions, and they're high-tech machines with security features. This bill, in running this bill by our law enforcement, there has been no opposition. So members, I will yield to questions, and I urge a yes vote. Thank you.
Discussion on House File 3225 as amended. Seeing no discussion, the clerk will take the roll on the bill. The clerk will close the roll. There being 122 ayes and 3 nays, the bill is passed as amended and its title agreed to. The next bill on the calendar for the day is House File 3210. The clerk will report the bill.
House File number 3210, number 5 on the calendar for the day, an act relating to local government.
Recognize the member from Scott, the bill author, Representative Lunan, to introduce your bill.
Members, House File 3210 extends freedoms to the 7-county metro area to do sewer and wastewater management in unincorporated townships. The other 80 counties in the state already have this provision. This is simply mending an oversight and allowing for the outer ring suburbs to do organized, proactive development.
There are no amendments at the desk. The clerk will give the bill its third reading.
Third reading, House File number 3210.
Third reading. Discussion on House File 3210. The member from Dakota, Representative Hansen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And Representative Lunan, I don't think I've ever heard the words stormwater freedom together before, but I guess this is a new day. I would encourage a yes vote for the bill.
Any further discussion on final passage of House File 3210? Seeing no further discussion, the clerk will take the roll on the bill. The clerk will close the roll. There being 126 ayes and 0 nays, the bill is passed and its title agreed to. Motions and resolutions. There are copies of the non-controversial motions at the House desk and online. If there's no objection, we'll take action on these motions first. Hearing no objection, the motions prevail. Announcements. The member from Dakota, Representative Hansen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have two announcements. One, just to plan for tomorrow. Tomorrow is our Arbor Day distribution of trees, so start thinking about where you're going to plant your trees. This is, to our understanding, one of the longest traditions in the legislature. We believe it's 28 years of a bipartisan distribution of trees, so just something to look forward to. And then secondly, today there is a public lands rally at 3 p.m. on the steps of the Capitol. I encourage folks to come support public lands. Thank you.
Any further announcements? The member from Sherburne, Representative Knobloch.
Mr. Speaker, members of the House, GOP Ways and Means members will huddle at 2 o'clock in room 454. The Ways and Means Committee will meet at 3 o'clock in room 200 to take up the tax bill, health and human services bill, and transportation bill.
The member from Dakota, Representative Garofalo. Announcements.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Point of personal privilege. State your point. Point of personal privilege, Mr. Speaker.
Please state your point of personal privilege, Representative Garofalo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. Mr. Speaker and members, between the 2014 and 2015 session, one of the most important changes we took place in the House of Representatives is that former Speaker Thiessen and current Speaker Daudt worked to professionalize the Sergeant-at-Arms office, and instead of having political appointees, bring in trained professionals with their current or previous experience in law enforcement. And we've had a couple of events that have taken place in the last week, and on behalf of the entire House of Representatives, for those members who work in that office, I just want to say thank you, that we thank you for your professionalism and your work. We know sometimes the fluid nature of legislative activity doesn't give these men and women a 9-to-5 job, just with our nonpartisan staff. If one member is in the Capitol complex, they have to work overtime, they have to stay overnight, and on behalf of the whole House of Representatives, we just want to say thank you to those members of our professional staff for looking out for us and the members of the public. Thank you.
Further announcements. The member from Hennepin, Representative Carlson L. Announcements. Representative Carlson.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, the DFL members of Ways and Means will be meeting at 2 o'clock in preparation for the 3 o'clock meeting in room 346. And members take note of that. We usually meet in a different room, so this time it'll be 346. Thank you.
Further announcements. The member from Roseau, Representative Fabian.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thanks for the announcement on the trees, Representative Hansen. I was going to ask Lynn Carlson, Representative Carlson, if he'd yield to a question. I'm curious to know how big the trees are that you planted 28 years ago, Representative Carlson, but I'll talk to you afterwards about that, okay? But I do want to give a shout out a little bit tonight at the Capitol Ridge is the annual DU banquet. Thank you.
Announcements. The member from Ramsey, Representative Murphy E.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. A point of personal privilege.
State your point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. I rise to thank Representative Erin May Quade for the work that she did in bringing her voice and the power of her office to an issue that embodies energy for Minnesotans across the state, and sometimes it is my observation in the many years that I have worked in politics that politicians lag behind the power of the voices, the powerful voices of people. And I am grateful for Representative May Quade's willingness to sit in this chamber overnight to give those voices power inside this chamber. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Any further announcements? The member from Isanti, Representative Johnson B.
Members, the Public Safety and Security Committee will be meeting today in room 10 at 12:30.
The member from Hennepin, Representative Pepin.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. Members, the Committee on Rules and Legislative Administration will meet 15 minutes after session in room 120, our normal room. And Mr. Speaker, I move that when the House adjourns today, it adjourns until 10 a.m., Thursday, April 26th, 2018.
Representative Pepin moves that when the House adjourns today, it adjourns until 10 o'clock a.m., Thursday, April 26th, 2018. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The motion prevails. Representative Pepin.
I move that the House do now adjourn.
Representative Pepin moves that the House do now adjourn. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The motion prevails, and the House stands adjourned until 10 o'clock a.m., Thursday, April 26th, 2018.